All right, guys, I'm gonna try and knock this video out in one clear, concise, non-editable format. If I do edit it and there's a clip that's cut out, you obviously know I failed, but I tried really hard. All right, so let's get started. Recently, obviously, Hunter McIntyre, who is a friend of mine, I'll admit, got an invite to the Crossfit Games, which is awesome. Some people are really upset about it, so I want to talk about the facts and some logic to go along with it, and obviously we can discuss in the comments below, right? So I think you need to really take emotion out of the situation. If you're upset about it, take emotion out and just think about it from a logical perspective, and maybe it'll help out, right? So I got 3 points and examples that go along with each point. So point number 1 is the fact that I think people's anger is misplaced, meaning they are angry at the athlete. They are angry at Hunter McIntyre because he's been given a spot at the games. But I think their anger is misplaced because why are you angry with the actual athlete who's been given the spot when you should be actually angry with the institution that created the spot for the athlete, right? You should instead be angry or disappointed with the CrossFit HQ or CrossFit Games that created this spot and created these 4 spots for non-CrossFit athletes to go straight to the games. So why are we upset at Hunter for accepting something when the institution created the ability for that athlete to do it? An example would be being angry at the Rogue Invitational for the 2019 season. Why are we angry at Why are we angry at Rogue Invitational for taking advantage of the 2019 season that we may or may not like and creating a sanctioned event? It doesn't make any sense. Rogue just took advantage of the situation and decided to create a sanctioned event. We can't be angry at Rogue for the 2019 season. Instead, we should be angry at the CrossFit HQ. You know, I digress though. We're not talking about the 2019 season, but that's just an example of it. The next point, my second point, is the fact that Hunter deals with this all the time in his sport, but we're complaining about it in our sport. The point number 2 isn't like the most amazing, groundbreaking point, but it's just a point, it's like a fact, like, well, look at it from this perspective, from his perspective. So obviously he's an obstacle course racer, right? And he does his CrossFit Games, quote unquote, or his championship is Tough Mudder X, or TMX. TMX is obviously the finals race is in Richmond, Virginia, and it was last year when I went there. And so in order to qualify to go to the championships, you had to go to these qualifying races. One was in Sacramento and one was in Miami. And I went to one of them and I qualified. Well, when we arrived at the actual championship, I realized that it wasn't just athletes there weren't just the ones that actually qualified, because if that was the case, there would only be 20 of us. Instead, they had invited a lot of other athletes from other different fitness domains that were elite or professional in their sport. We had elite CrossFit athletes. We had like Dakota Rager and Street Horner and Patrick Vellner and Sam Dancer and Jordan Troyan and Alex Smith, a lot of awesome guys that came. And then we also had like I think we had a professional surfer or wakeboarder. I think there was a professional like biker there. There was a lot of different athletes from collectively different sports that were professional in their sport. They hadn't actually qualified for the race at all. They decided to show up. So we don't actually know if they would have actually qualified. Granted, they probably would have, but they showed up to compete in the championship without previously qualifying. But we never heard Hunter complaining about it and saying, well, you know, these guys didn't qualify, like they don't deserve to be here. He just accepted the fact and went out there and whooped everybody and whooped me pretty bad, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. So that's example number 2. Example number 3 is the fact that I feel like there's a lot of hypocrisy in this argument of, well, he didn't qualify for it, so why should he be able to go? Right? It's given, not earned. And I will somewhat agree with the fact that, yes, he may not have quote unquote earned it. It was given to him. That's true. Did he work hard for it in certain areas of a social media campaign concept? Yes. But is that really earned? Probably not. But at the same time, there's a lot of hypocrisy in the point that he didn't qualify and he went straight there. So let's digress for a second and take a look at it. Just back up a little bit and take a look from a different perspective. So most people aren't going to make it to the games, obviously. And so their games, quote unquote, is going to a sanctioned event, right? Going to regionals or going to a sanctioned event was their overall goal. That's all they wanted to do, and they were focused on that, and that was their goal. That was their games, right? Prime example is Jake Flown, the guy I work out with. All he wanted to do was just make it to the sanctioned event, and that was his goal. And he did it, and it was awesome, and he had a great time doing it. Well, how do you get to a sanctioned event? The only way to get to a sanctioned event is, 1, to just do the online qualifier, correct? It's the same way, if we back up, in order to make it to the CrossFit Games, you have to do an online qualifier, the Open, or sanctioned events. Well, there are a lot of athletes, CrossFit Games athletes, that instead of actually qualifying online for these sanctioned events, they've instead received invites. And there's nothing against them, they've received an invite, and that's totally up to them and their prerogative to accept it, and it's totally up to the sanctioned event to invite them. That's cool, whatever, you do your thing. But it seems a little hypocritical to say to someone, hey, this is earned, not given. You didn't have to do an online qualifier or do anything to get ready to come to this competition, to the CrossFit Games, the Hunter McIntyre, when in actuality, there are a lot of CrossFit Games athletes that went straight to a sanctioned event and didn't even do the online qualifier. Now, could they have done it and could they have qualified? Probably, absolutely. But that's not the point. The point is, some people have skipped online qualifiers and went straight to a sanctioned event the same way that Hunter McIntyre is doing it to the CrossFit Games. So why are we pointing out the fault in someone else's eyes when you've done the same thing? Those are just my thoughts. That's real briefly thoughts. I probably stumbled across my words. If it makes sense, let me know. If it doesn't make sense, call me an idiot. I don't really care. That's just my opinion, man. And the best part about the country we live in is we can all have an opinion and we can all make fun of each other. So, hey, thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys. We'll talk to you guys later.